Yes, good afternoon, everyone, all the participants across the globe. Honorable Minister of Railways, Commerce and Industry and Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, CA Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable President of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, Honorable Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, my friend in the council and my co-chairman in the committee, CA Dheeraj Khandelwal ji, another friends from the council, CA Rajesh Sharma ji, and member of the committee, Committee for Development of International Trade, Services and WTO, and friends from the all across as a members of this elite profession. Friends, as we all understand what we have to understand and give back to the economic system of the country and how to start a manthan, which is a long 5 days program, startup manthan. And today we are fortunate enough to have a chief guest from our own profession and serving the country as a minister is also with us. And friends, it is well said that if you want to win big, we have to start by thinking big. With that kind of philosophy, India has stood itself and have taken a lead 4 years back. And today we have a third largest startup ecosystem with the government, with the thought process of the entrepreneurs, and all the new professionals also, those who wants to be in the growth system of the country. India's growth story is taking rounds in all the investors and the economists, as we Indians have the power to make a difference and bring the change. Indians have the convictions to take risk, venture out on their own. In the last decades, we have seen many startups reaching the unicorn status in the fintech, hospitality, e-commerce, edtech area, etc. Indian government has built a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovations and startups in the country and will drive sustainable economic growth and generate large scale of employment opportunities for the last person of our country as a citizen. The mantra I would like to share is the ability to ask for something extraordinary will only get you far. Friends, I would also like to conclude by saying ideas and the execution of the ideas can only lead to the startup recognition. And it is well said, clarity in the thought and the sincerity in the efforts is the only successful mantra to bring best for yourself, best for the family, best for the society, and the best for the nation. So friends, just to have a last word from my side, this 5-day long programs will cover all across these 3 startup trilogy, the compliance part, the management part, fundraising issues, and it is not only professional friends, those who have succeeded, those who have proven their skill and proven their innovative ideas, they will be as a panelist. Our government ecosystem from the Invest India, from the ministries, they will be also taking part as a panelist in the system for the continuous 5-day program. I'll request each and every participants to be focused so that we can bring best for as a new startup ourselves or guiding our clients or those who are in the system wants to come like a startup entrepreneur. With these words, I welcome you all to this great program, this 5-day program, And with these words, now I would like to request our Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, CA Nihar Jambu Saryaji, for his words of wisdom and guidance to this committee for taking this as far as the activities of this committee for the further level, for the newer level. Over to Nihar Jambu Saryaji.
Thank you, Chukji. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as participants are attending from across the globe. Honorable President of the Institute, C.A. Atulji, today's chief guest, Honorable Minister for Railways and Commerce and Heavy Industry, C.A. Piyush Goyalji, the Chairman of the committee, C.A. Hansraj Chugh, the Vice Chairman, C.A. Dheeraj Khandelwal, our council colleagues, C.A. Rajesh Sharma, other council colleagues and all the participants. Let me at the outset congratulate the committee for development of international trade and WTO for taking up this initiative of launching Startup Manthan 2. In fact, this series was done in the past also. And in the COVID and post-COVID scenario, the committee thought that it is absolutely necessary to promote this initiative once again and look at it fresh. Particularly in this country, when major portion of the population consists of youngsters, and the youngsters have the conviction to venture out on their own, they have greater risk appetite, and they are hands-on with technology. I think instead of going for jobs, they are better placed to take up a startup initiative and be an entrepreneur. And at this stage, it is necessary for our institute to guide them in the right way. This is the flagship initiative of the Government of India. About 4 years back, when the government launched Startup Project, nobody thought it will become so relevant. And if we relate it to the very recent initiative of the government, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, the startup initiative will give a big push to Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative also. If we look at what startups can do for the country, and I think the biggest service that it can do is generate employment, promote innovation, and lead to sustainable economic growth, particularly post-COVID, when the country will be looking at new initiatives, new businesses, new manufacturing avenues. It is only the startups which can give a big push to the initiatives within the country to be Atmanirbhar. Let us look at some of the government's initiatives to promote startup. What facilities are being offered? Government launched a digital platform for the protection of intellectual property rights of the startups. So then they don't have to worry about somebody copying their IPRs and giving a threat to them. More external commercial borrowings and foreign direct investment will be allowed under this initiative. The turnover limit, which was initially set at 25 crores, has been raised to 100 crores. A startup will get 3 years complete tax exemption within a block of 10 years after they start. Tax audit limit for MSMEs has been raised to 5 crores, and a new export credit scheme shall be introduced, which is called Nirvik. And particularly when all these initiatives are offered, chartered accountants will have big advisory role. Youngsters have great energy, great enthusiasm, big risk appetite, but what they lack is experience. And this much required experience can be provided by chartered accountants by guiding them in all spheres, be it taxation, be it auditing, accounting, be it obtaining finance, be it use of finance, or it may be any solution related to the business. And this is where chartered accountants' role is so important. And when this 5 weeks, 5 days course is launched, where very eminent speakers and founders and some of the industry's most successful entrepreneurs are going to come and share their experience, it will give big insight not only to startups but also to the advisors, that is chartered accountants. I'm sure that with our president and honorable minister sharing their views, this Manthan program will achieve great success. And at the end of 5 days program, you will find great value add in this program. Wish you all the success for the program. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir, for a nice words. I really appreciate the leadership of our institute, president and the vice president, who always handholds, give guidance, just like a friend philosopher. They work hand on hand for sharing lot of insights about the profession and the economy of the country and the globe. I'm very grateful and thankful to the Vice President for guiding all the time. Now, friends, I would like to request our President of the Institute, CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, for his word of wisdom and taking us forward for the listening of our chief guest also subsequent to our President. Now over to President CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji.
Thank you, Hansraj ji. The Honorable Chief Guest of the day, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, the Honorable Minister of Railway, Commerce, Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, who will be addressing all of us in few minutes. The Honorable Vice President ICAI, CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, the Honorable Chairman and the Vice Chairman of the Committee, CA Hansraj ji, Dheeraj Khandelwal ji, and our distinguished council colleague, CA Rajesh Sharma ji. All my council colleagues and the viewers, a very good evening to all of you from and even at the other locations, it will be the good morning and good afternoon to our friends who are listening this live webcast being organized by the Committee for Development of International Trade, Service and WTO. Friends, I'm happy to intimate you that this program is now being live viewed in the 43 countries where the ICAI have the official presence with more than around 390,000 members, that is 390,000 members, and more than a family of 1 million covering these students as well. I also congratulate the members at large for successfully completing the most difficult exercise in this COVID pandemic, that is the examination of the intermediate and final level, which is being conducted not only in India, but also at the global level in more than 12 countries with 1,100 centers to facilitate the students that each and every district there will be one or the other examination center. I'm happy to intimate all of you that there was a team of more than 10,000 colleagues, the volunteers and the security personnel who ensure the safety of the students and see that all the guidelines are being followed in the letter and spirit, and the student get the best of the experience, which can be witnessed in the testimonials are available when the students and the family members are praising the efforts of your ICAI. Friends, the topic which is being chosen, that is the Startup Manthan 2, the compliance, management and fundraising are the very, very important for to discuss here. You will agree with me that when the COVID pandemic is there and everybody is in a struggling mode, everything is a lockdown, standstill. And just to share with you that when we talk about the vaccination, which is actually a must sought after the event, which we are all looking for, you will be astonished to know that most of the COVID vaccination which is in the progress are being made by the startups which started few years back only. So the startups are, as rightly mentioned by our colleagues here, that they are the innovators. They are looking for out of the box thinking, and as it is rightly being said that it is not that you have to do the different things. It is that something you have to think, do the thing differently. Friends, the topic which is being chosen for the day, that is, they will be discussing about the governance part. They will be discussing about the ecosystem, then about the digital marketing and the fundraising. These are the very, very important topics. You are aware that we have a large pool of youth. The India is being comparatively a young age country. So we have the more and more innovation out of the box thinking. And I believe that more focus we will give on the startups ecosystem, better will be the prospect to achieve the Atmanirbhar Bharat vis-a-vis the 5 trillion economy. Now, after this few minutes, the Honorable, our own Shri Piyush Goyal will be addressing to all of us. I just wish to share with you that the ICAI is putting its best to provide the wow experience to the members. It is rightly being mentioned that when you have this everything, somebody mentioned that when the ultimate test of a person is not at the time when everything is okay, but it is something when the challenges are there. And I believe that the Chartered Accountant has proved that in spite of all the challenges in the COVID pandemic, may it be the providing the services to the society, the stakeholders, the MSME sector, the revival of the economy, and all other initiatives, the Chartered Accountants are putting their best to see that the profession is, not only the profession is growing, but also the entire brotherhoodness, as is rightly being mentioned, the Vasudev Kutumbakam, that is the entire mankind, the entire society is progressing, is the motto of the profession, is the motto of each one of us. Friends, you are aware whether it is a member services or it is the student services, it is the globalization of the profession or it may be the regulatory aspect of the profession. Your council, your ICAI is working 24/7. Even we started the e-hearing of the cases. There are the 5 lakhs, more than 5 lakh students who are getting the online education, the virtual education without any charge. There are the things which have been started even for the members like the WeCare, the online portal for the CABF, and so on. Your presence in the ICAI, as I mentioned earlier, is now has reached to a level when you are available officially in the 43 countries. The day after tomorrow, we are going to enter a new mutual recognition agreement with the Netherlands. The new chapters will be opened in the Switzerland, Belgium, and the France. We are opening the office on the 10th of this month at Singapore. So these are all the initiatives to see that the profession is becoming a really global profession. Friends, with this, I believe that the entire 5 days will be having the full of knowledge, the full of expertise, the full of the experience which will be shared by the colleagues, by the speakers. And I believe that together we will be able to see that our country is the target, the motto, the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to make this country is truly Atmanirbhar and a 5 trillion economy. This type of programs will certainly provide impetus to the motto, to the mission. And as rightly being mentioned by Honorable, the then President of our country, that the Chartered Accountants are the partner in nation building, will be a testimonial by organizing this kind of programs. With this, I will request now to the Honorable Minister, sir, the Chief Guest of the day, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, the CA Piyush Goyal ji, the Honorable Minister of Railway, Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, to address the fraternity.
Piyush ji.
Musaria ji, Vice President of the Institute, CA Hansraj Chugh, Chairman, Committee for Development of International Trade Services and WTO, CA Dheeraj Khandelwal, Vice Chairman of the Committee, all my distinguished Chartered Accountant brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. It has been quite some time since I got an opportunity to interact with all of you, and therefore I'm really grateful to all the organizers of the Startup Manthan 2.0 for giving me this opportunity to engage with you, to convey to you the good wishes on behalf of the Government of India for your good work, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown period and the early unlock phases. And I must compliment each and every one of you, brother and sister, for your contribution to making India a stronger nation, a nation which could withstand the huge adverse impact of COVID-19 with strength, with vigor and resilience. Your cooperation, the good work that many of you did, the way you rapidly evolved to use digital technologies and continue professional training, study, exams, activities is truly remarkable. And the fast economic recovery would not have been possible but for the huge support that the Chartered Accountant fraternity has given. My compliments to all of you and my best wishes to you, your families, your colleagues for the future. Please stay safe, stay healthy, keep social distancing, wear the mask at all times. Personal hygiene is very important, but most importantly, don't let social distancing create distance between you and us, amongst us. Let us continue to create that strong bond that we have always shared as chartered accountants, as a fraternity, and with the rest of society. I am really delighted that all the participants of this important manthan are focusing on the startup trilogy: compliance, management, and funding. Startup India is a mission the Honorable Prime Minister started and truly is going to be the power of India going forward. If I may quote Prime Minister Modi, startups are the engines of exponential growth, manifesting the power of innovation. And we chartered accountants have a dual role. We ourselves are going to be startup entrepreneurs, but we are also going to be service providers to startups in ensuring compliance, providing good management services, and, if necessary, engaging with international and domestic investors to ensure adequate funding at each stage of the startup. As Bill Gates said, it's the knowledge derived from information that gives you a competitive edge. And I believe our chartered accountant brothers and sisters have that competitive edge to be second to none when it comes to serving the startup ecosystem. I'm sure this platform that you have provided today to all the budding entrepreneurs, thinkers, and businesses to share and collaborate will empower them with ideas for innovation and business development. I congratulate the Institute for issuing the MSME Business Continuity Checklist. That's another wonderful initiative of my colleagues in the Institute. It will help handhold our MSME sector, particularly in these challenging times. In fact, nobody could have said it better than Bharat Ratna, former President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, when he spoke about our fraternity. Chartered accountants are partners in nation building. And I compliment you for the great effort and the great role you are all playing in our collective effort to make India great, to make India Atmanirbhar, to make India recognized, respected, and trusted in the Committee of Nations worldwide, to become a trusted global economic superpower. And chartered accountants working in partnership with the government can certainly ensure great successes for the people of India and for the country in the months and years to come. We had launched Startup India in 2016 to create an ecosystem of innovation, invention, and enterprise. In fact, India now houses the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Government is constantly providing inputs and impetus to the startup ecosystem to help them expand their base. As you are working to create this platform to provide the opportunity for startups to work in the international sphere, we also are trying to empower startups through the GEM Startup Runway. The government e-marketplace provides a equitable opportunity, a democratized opportunity to startups to offer their products, to offer their services to all government enterprises across the length and breadth of India. We have also created a fund of funds for startups with an initial corpus of 10,000 crores for funding promising startups in their early stage funding requirements. Government, in its role as an enabler, has introduced several benefits to encourage and boost the startup businesses. Provision of tax exemption on capital gains, income tax holiday for 3 years are just a few amongst many benefits that the government has offered to the startups. We continue to be open to new and better suggestions from my chartered accountant friends for newer ideas, how we can further promote startups in India. As Martin Luther King Jr. had said, and I quote, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." I believe my chartered accountant colleagues have truly showcased to the world that despite the COVID pandemic, the real power of our youth, of our professional young chartered accountants is there to help the startups to spot opportunities, to innovate in newer areas, and create sustainable and competitive products and services. Therefore, despite the challenges of COVID, your effort to support the startup ecosystem is truly commendable. We should take inspiration from several successful startup stories that are there before us. I am given to understand that one of our startups has developed a very cost-effective and durable solution for COVID in terms of personal protective equipments like 3D printed face shields, respirator valves, digital stethoscopes, which can listen to the heartbeats from a distance and record them, low-cost COVID-19 qualitative PCR kits, drones for spraying disinfectant in public spaces to prevent the coronavirus, and many other such initiatives. This shows the adaptability and agility of our young entrepreneurs. In fact, some of them have come up with innovation with very traditional solutions. There's an Adivasi woman in Chhattisgarh who has made us hand sanitizer from mahua brew. I mean, mahua is used for many other purposes, but she has used mahua to provide, instead of alcohol, use this as a substitute, as a low-cost substitute, using a traditional product available in the tribal areas to make a fantastic hand sanitizer and disinfectant. This will help our Adivasi brothers and sisters to improve personal hygiene. This only demonstrates the deep personal conviction, commitment, confidence, and capability that our people of India have, which we need to garner, which we need to harness, which we need to encourage, which can truly help every single Indian in the country prosper. I'm sure your Manthan will further encourage startups, and our chartered accountants will help with different support system to these startups. I would also urge you to help farmers in the whole country understand the great benefits that we are trying to provide to farmers in the length and breadth of the country. Every care has been taken to ensure that without affecting the existing ecosystem that is available to the farmers. So while keeping the existing APMCs, mandis, Arthya system, everything has been kept intact. We have only offered new opportunities to farmers. We have only opened the doors wider for our farmers so that they get options. They get newer opportunities. They get new markets. After all, when a person makes this book, nobody orders that he has to sell it only in one market or to a certain set of traders. He can sell it to anybody in the country. He can sell it in any market in the country. He can sell it at any price that he likes. And I think this effort to open opportunities for the farmers is a huge reform which will, in the long run, help our farmers exponentially increase their income, going for better cropping patterns, engage with technology, make collective farmer-producer organizations to get the best of seeds, to get adequate funding at low cost, provide them with opportunity to produce valuable and profitable crops, ensure protection against adverse circumstances, give them an opportunity to get drip irrigation into their farms, to get better cash crops into their farms, to do multi-cropping. All these opportunities are our humble effort to support our farmers. There are a few apprehensions raised by farmers, particularly from Punjab, which we are addressing and are ready to address. And I am confident that going forward, as more and more people understand and appreciate the good work that these changes is seeking to do, is working towards, we will see huge improvement in the lives and prosperity of our farmer brothers and sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, creativity, innovation, invention, and development is the foundation and mandate of New India. Today, in the post-COVID world, we have to face a new normal. In this new normal, we need long-term sustainable solutions to become self-reliant, and our startups have proved that dynamism that is required to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. As Thomas Alva Edison had said, genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. I think as they toil hard, as they work hard, you and I have to support them in this effort. And I'm sure no chartered accountant will be found wanting in our effort to support the startups all over India. India today is set on the path of becoming self-reliant, and the startups are leading the way. I am sure the Chartered Accountants of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, will help in this effort to radically transform the nation and bring about that spirit of entrepreneurship even in our remote villages and small towns. Startups will be the flag bearer and create opportunities in newer sectors through automation, fintechs, supply chain, logistics, agro products, medical products, education, telemedicine, and so many other opportunities through artificial intelligence, through newer and newer ways of manufacturing, 3D printing, for instance. And going forward, we have our role defined to support them in management, compliance, and funding. We are at a critical juncture of human history where our actions shall directly impact billions of people. Our entrepreneurs can create a golden era where our star performers, the startups, with their commitment, vigor, and perseverance, will make India a leader across all sectors. As Mahatma Gandhi had said, a small body of determined spirits, fired by an unquenchable faith in their mission, can alter the course of history. Brother Chartered Accountants, brothers and sisters, we are today at the crossroads, even in our profession. Let us adopt the new normal. Let us work in partnership with the government and our stakeholders and work towards ensuring that India becomes self-sufficient, India becomes a big economic superpower, India expands its global presence and global trade, India brings quality, productivity, and cost competitiveness in our manufacturing, in goods, and in the services sector. And let us together pledge to work for making 135 crore Indians prosperous and give them ease of living, better quality of life, a better sustainable future for our children. Thank you very much. My prayers with you, your family, and your near and dear ones. Stay safe, stay healthy. Namaskar.
लाइव करो फटाक से.
Thank you, our chief. Thank you, CA Piyush Goyal ji, the Honorable Minister of Railway, Commerce and Industry and Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. We are very thankful and grateful to you for your kind presence and making us more stronger for the bringing back for the economy of the country. Now, friends, I will request my co-chairman in the committee, CA Dheeraj Khandelwal ji, for the formal vote of thanks. Dheeraj ji, over to you.
Thank you, Hansaji. The Honorable Minister of the Railway, Commerce, Industries, Consumer Affairs, Food and Distribution Services, Piyush Goyal ji. My Honorable President of the ICAI, Atul Gupta ji. The Honorable Vice President, Nihal Jamosaria ji. And my Chairman, Hansraj ji. And Rajesh Samaji, my council colleague. A very good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure duty to perform a vote of thanks to the Honorable Piyush Goyal ji from the fraternity. He put forward his views with regard to the emerging and dynamic areas on the startup. And he very rightly mentioned all the points to the startup. That's a startup is an engine of economy. He mentioned that engine of the economy. Sir, you have very rightly put forward that the chartered accountant is now ready to taking care of the steering as a startup. They can take lead on the startup ecosystem. You mentioned that, there was 50,000 startups are in India, and we have to create a more startup led by the chartered accountant. You rightly mentioned that, we have to be, the chartered accountant can provide good services to the various startups. So, sir, as government already started GEM portal being a startup, they have taken a lot of initiative, like you have already said, tax initiative, benefits, exemptions, fund of fund. tech government is doing a lot of good things for the startup, and which is started in 4 years before. And ICAI is the only body which is started immediately after yours. In 2018, we had a first startup conference, and this is the second startup conference, and we roll out completely the government initiative. We are going with the shoulder to shoulder with the government initiative. Whatever the government initiative, we are propagating to the all the down to line to the chartered accountant, and chartered accountants are taking care of it. So, sir, thank you very much for your kind word and your time that you have given to the institute as your institute only. I also thanks to my leadership, ICAI President Atul Gupta ji and Nihar Jambusari Vice President and Committee Chairman Trilogy and RDC for their guidance and the support to this particular conference. I'm sure our chartered accountant and the participant who seeing this particular program will understand the ecosystem of the functioning of the startup through the 10 different sessions of the startup trilogy: sciences, management, fundraising. So these are the 5 events. I'm sure that all going to be benefit, and thanks to the all leadership over here for giving such a wonderful time. Thank you very much. Thank you, each and everyone. Now, the next session going to start immediately. I request Chairman take up.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you. Friends, now we are moving to the first technical session. The session will be covering this very particular session will be focusing on the first session will be the fireside chat. Startup begins with an idea, and successful startup begins with the minimum. And naturally, there is a system of some kind of measurements, the minimum value or the minimum understanding of whatsoever the need is there. We have the Rohit Bhattji, co-founder of the 99 Games. Another panelist will be Nitin Kamatji, co-founder and the director of the Zerodha. Friends, before moving to them, we have with our council colleague Rajesh Sharma-ji. I request him for the opening remarks and taking this session one, take this forward. Over to Rajesh-ji.
Thank you, Hansraj-ji. Basically, I welcome both the learned speakers who are here, and we are thankful to Honorable President Sir and Vice President Sir for sparing time in the inaugural part. And of course, Hansraj-ji, the chairman, and the very dynamic vice chairman, Dheeraj Khandelwal-ji. I was just remembering that the startup function, the previous startup function in ICAI was again done under his leadership when he was CMI chairman, and I was his vice chairman. So I have worked hand in hand with him for several times. So no one else could have been a better speaker than you two. I can say specifically to Bhatt when during the COVID time, we were seeing that all the industries, all the business, all the whole ecosystem was into trouble. Your industry would have definitely grown because persons were sitting idle at home and would have been using your game channel, your 99 games channel, and it would have multiplied in the number of users the way I think it is. So Corona would have been a boon to you, and very few, I can say, in the country, and very few businesses would have prospered, and few businesses would have taken a kickstart. And yours definitely in this pandemic time, in this tough time when the whole world was sitting idle and keeping themselves inside the rooms and inside the cage, I can say, during that time you have grown. So I congratulate you that in this time you have provided all the persons a good entertainment type so that they don't get into depression and they don't see the news of negativity which was surrounded everywhere, whether it is on media, on social media and everywhere. So I congratulate you for keeping the persons engaged. And at the same time, no one else than Nitin Kamat, a person who is co-founder with Zerodha and as well as director there. Friends, I can say, whenever it comes to online investment portal, you definitely think of Zerodha, may it be stock, may it be dealing in any type of stock, investing in mutual fund or any such thing. But I can say your portal has worked extensively well during this time too, because yours is a total online portal. If you compare it to some other brokers, there you make calls to the broker. Several persons still go on that in the traditional system. They make calls to their brokers, sub-brokers, and someone is available who will tell the rates, and finally the person strikes to a deal. So yours being a total online channel, definitely I can say Zerodha would have done better, because the offices of brokers and sub-brokers were also closed during this pandemic time. So post-pandemic, we cannot have two great speakers than you both. So with this, over to both of you. And I can say it was a great time that you have spared time, and many of our chartered accountants from across the world who have joined will get some of the experiences from whatever you have faced in past, and will try to either themselves go into startups or can guide their clients so that they can form a better startup. With this, over to, I think, Mr. Bhatt, the first person.
Dheerajji.
Yeah, Dheerajji will invite. So over to Dheerajji, definitely. The person in ICAI, I always say, one of our council members who always creates new ideas. And in CMI, he had done that magnificent program of startup. Again, this 5-day program, which have started from today. And I think it will be a great program under the leadership of Hansrajji and Dheerajji. Every day, 4 to 7, all of us should be participating and listening to and enriching our knowledge. Thank you very much. Over to Dheerajji.
Today it is 4 to 7, the another 4 days. Continuously, we are 3 to 6. In the another 4 days, today it is 4 to 7 because the minister was available during that time only. So that is why it has been today specifically 4 to 7. Another 4 days continuously it will be 3 to 6 only. Just for my participants, my friends, those who are been the viewer, they have to note down the timeline 3 to 6 for the continuous another 4 days in continuity. Over to Dheerajji.
So thank you everyone. So welcome back to this Startup Week Manthan. Today is the first. So I'm going to start. We have ended with the inaugural session, and we heard Piyush Goyalji talking about the various startup ecosystems. Now we need to understand the two people who started their own entrepreneurial journey. So let's start with the session 1. Startup begins with the idea. Successful startup begins with the MBB. And we have the two renowned personalities, Nitin Kamaji and Rohit Barji, both of here. We'll have a fireside chat with them. I will invite Nitin Kamaji. He's a founder CEO Zerodha as well as Gain Matter. So Nitinji is started in 2010, and because he found some hurdles in by investing or being a trader, he find some difficulties are there. So he built their own system, let's a ecosystem, so that people what the difficulties he faced should not be faced by the many millions of the people. And this now the solution which he thought, now it's a user of by the many millions people. And now over the last decade, Zerodha has changed the landscape in the Indian broking industry. I think he's having with the more than 4 million customers and contributing about 50% exchange retail trading volume. Zerodha is the largest retail broking in India today. And we have the renowned personalities, Nitin Kamaji. We can relate with him. Now the chartered accountant, youngster people can see the young people like Nitin Kamaji. By spending 10 years, we can also be reached to their level. And while he is smiling, we can also smile ourselves like him, Nitin Kamaji. And Nitinji is not only the Zerodha, he started another venture, Gain Matter, and R&D fintech incubator, and fund that is the partner. Some of the tech startup. This is ecosystem for the innovation in the financial technology in India. And Nitinji also set up the Rainmaker Climate Foundation, which is funding to the people having a more solution in the mitigate climate change. And Nitin Kamaji is the entrepreneur. So now we have the Nitin Kamaji. We have also Nitin Bharti. We'll take the and after spell with the Nitin Kamaji, we'll have the second spell with the Rohit Bharji. So welcome Nitinji to this ICAI Startup Manthan 2. And you heard the Piyush Goyalji, you heard the other people. I want to start with you. How you feeling? Spending a 10 years life and reach to the top level, which without any funding support. And how you started? What is your entrepreneurial journey? How you create a magic? Without knowing a buzz. Spending a quite 10 years spending time. Now you top of the top. A broker, which 20 years, 30 years brokership are there, but you become immediately in India's hero in the broking side. So over to Nitinji, how it is you did the magic?
Yeah, thanks, Dheeraj, for having me on this. No, I mean, see, the thing is, there's a lot of right place, right time. This is for magic to happen. Goddess luck as well. Right? So, see, incidentally, Zerodha started in 2010, but I started trading the markets in '97. So I was in my, just getting out of my school when I started trading. Right. So in that way, it's actually a 23-year-old journey, trading the markets and investing. The decision to start Zerodha happened in 2010 because in 2008, the national stock. So just quickly to give you a background, I used to trade the markets, from my 12th standard onwards. Around 2001, 2002, I had saved up some money and then I blew it all in the markets. So I had also borrowed money and blown it. So I had to go work. I worked in the call center for 3-4 years between 2001 to 2005. And in 2005, I met a person who saw my performance between 2001 to 5 and cut me a check, and he asked me to manage his money. So I quit my job and started a portfolio advisory business in 2005. I became a sub-broker for Reliance Money. A sub-broker is a franchise in 2006. And, I think a lot of chartered accountants would know it. It's, you become a sub-broker also because it gives easy access to manage people's money. Right. And in 2006-07, my younger brother joined me for trading. He also started trading the markets very early. And by 8-9, we kind of realized that Nikhil, my younger brother, is a much better trader than I am. And I had already day traded for 10-12 years. So I wanted to take a break from trading. And in my trading life, I generally had the kida of trying to share as much knowledge as possible. So I used to run some of the largest Yahoo Messenger group, Orkut communities, and I used to blog. Right, I started doing this quite early in life, but in my pseudonym, not as Nitin Kamath. And then we saw an opportunity that the world was going online, but traditional brokers were still working very offline. Right, I mean, everyone had online trading platforms, but their operations was very offline. Right, as in, it was all relationship manager based business. Like you said earlier, right? As in, most of the business used to happen on the phone. Now it moved online. So what we saw as an opportunity was, can you move the support and functions also very online? In that sense, then you get a leverage to disrupt in terms of pricing. Right. So that's what we did in 2010 when we started the business. It was using vendor products. There was nothing in house. No one in the team when we started off had any technology background. Tech happened only later on. Right? So we use vendor products, and on top of vendor products, we built a platform which was catering to two things. One is reduce the trading costs to as little as possible, and two was to bring transparency to this industry. Usually financial services firms are very opaque in the way they work. So we said, can we be very transparent? So to be transparent, we realized that we had to give one offering for most of our customers. Today, if you go to a bank, you go to a broker, based on your net worth, you get a deal. right? As in, if you're a HNI, you get a separate kind of a deal. If you don't have enough money, you get a separate kind of deal. What we did was we said, we will not keep it, we'll keep it uniform for everyone, same offering for everyone. When you have the same offering for everyone, you can go talk about it openly. Right? Otherwise, you'll have to hide it and not talk about it. Right? So with that, around 2013, the first competitor came by who said the same story that we were saying. Right? I mean, they essentially had used everything that we were trying to say. And then that's when we realized that just saying transparency or low cost can't be a moat. I mean, anyone who's starting up needs to build some kind of an edge, which is very tough for a competition to catch up on. So we said it has to be, I mean, it was kind of evident that it has to be product, right? But to build a good product, you need a good technologist. So amongst the many lucky breaks I've had in my life, I also had this lucky break of meeting Kailash, who heads our tech. So he joined us in 2013. And around him is where our product journey started, right? Which is we went from using vendor products to building our own in-house products. So today, every single thing that we own, every single thing at Zerodha is in-house. There is nothing outsourced anymore, right? So that transition it started from 2013. 2015, so when we started the business, we were a flat fee per trade platform where we charge 20 rupees per trade, irrespective of the size of the trade. In 2015, we went zero brokerage for equity investing. We charge only for speculative activities, which is if you're doing intraday trading or if you're doing futures and options, we charge 20 rupees a trade. We also in 2014-15, we launched our education initiative called Varsity, which is the world's maybe the second or third largest education initiative on capital markets today. In 2016, we launched Rainmatter, because by then we had realized that the market participation in India is very less, so we need to expand it. And we realized to expand it, we need to get more startups to come build products, right? So we started inviting startups to come build on top of us. So think of us as Android and these startups as apps on Play Store, right? So today, a lot of these startups have come built on top of us. And then I think the biggest tipping point in this journey was demonetization, because for every financial service firm, onboarding a customer was very tough, right? I mean, if you had to open an account, trading a demat account, it was a 40-page document with 40 signatures. Now, because of demonetization, people started using Aadhaar for KYC and e-sign. And because they started using that for KYC and e-sign, we could use that to onboard customers online. So what it used to take us for 14 days, from 2016 onwards, took us 14 minutes or lesser, right? So that was the tipping point. Once onboarding became online, the account opening, the speed at which we started adding new customers went up significantly. Just to give an example, we were at around 100,000 customers when Aadhaar onboarding, this whole demonetization happened. We are at 40 lakh customers today, right? So we've grown 40 times in the last 4 years in terms of number of customers. That's generally been the journey. As in, I think this year was again like if someone had told me early in 2020 that if people are going to be working from home, economy is going to be shut down, and somehow your business is going to grow 2-3 times, I would have joked about it. But I think Rohit and me are both beneficiaries. One of the few beneficiaries in this, I think in this industry today, in this country today, this year, which is I think education, online education, gaming, and broking are probably the ones who have benefited the most. So we've grown 2x, almost 2.5x this year. So today, so we are the largest broker in this country, and what is the magic? Like I said, right? For the magic to happen, there was a lot of magic that happened to me.
So here my another question to you: do you prepare any checklist? While you started your entrepreneur journey, so you thought something, what you to do to reach to this level? Have you thought you will reach to this level?
No, absolutely not. I mean, there are people who claim, after being successful, that somehow it was planned. I mean, I don't know how many of them are being truthful. So if you had asked me, I would have never thought our business, when on day one, would ever get more than 10 crores in revenue. Maybe 100 times of that now. So it's it was a lot of right place, right time. I think what we've done right is that we were very nimble in the way we operated. So every time an opportunity presented, we took the chance, right? Because there's a saying that you have to take bets to win. If you don't take bet, you can't win, right? So
being a successful startup and reaching at this height, so can you give any tip for the members to be ahead on the startup?
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, it's a very like a fundamental thing. It's just not about startups. It's about anything in life. Be it a sportsman, be it a movie star, be it a business, any businessman. Or the idea is to build a business or build your career around something you love doing, right? And a problem that you can, it has to be around your core competency. If I'm 6'10" and I want to be a gymnast, I'm not going to succeed. It's a no-brainer, right? As in, if I'm 5'5" and I'm very nimble, I'm very muscular, I can then think of becoming a gymnast. I think today a lot of people get carried away with this whole idea of starting up and pick up random problems, right? Without really ever sitting back and thinking if it's actually their core competency or not. Right? If you, so I think the most fundamental rule in all of this is to look at your strengths and weaknesses and build a business around your strengths. And amongst your strengths, I think one of the most important thing is if you love doing what you're trying to build your business around, right? Because stock market is the only thing that I've liked or loved through my life. So even today, after 10 years, it almost every day feels like a new day, right? And keeping that going as a founder of a company is extremely important. Otherwise, you can burn out really, really soon. So yeah, so my advice is find something find something that you love doing. Sorry, yeah.
Yes. So generally, I've seen that broker, generally don't do their himself to, trade. Right. Being a startup, you still be a trader?
No, I've stopped trading completely. From day one, because trading takes a lot of your bandwidth, right? So, but on the other hand, I can't be building a product if I don't think that trading can't make you money, right? So my younger brother continues to trade. Today he runs a hedge fund called True Beacon. It's a Cat 3 AIF. Right, so that decision, before starting Zerodha, we had taken that he continues trading and I'll go give a shot at broking. But I, you can't. Trading is almost like a full-time thing. Yeah. Of course, I invest in startups like Rainmatter. We have 12 startups. Probably the coolest fintech startups in this country are part of that portfolio. So it's not trading. It's actually more, you're investing, you're helping startups grow. So it's you get a nice kick out of doing that as well.
So with the startup with NPV, and how do we develop a NPV?
Yeah, I mean, so like building that minimum viable product is an important aspect of building a startup. I think. See, the thing is coming back to your first question. Once you realize what you love to do in your life, I think the first thing you need to do is go build some experience around it. Right? Instead of trying to go build a startup in day one, right? Like for example, if you want to run the Olympics 100 meters, you're not going to get up one day and say, I'm going to go run the Olympics today, right? As in, you will go prepare, train for it for a few years or many years. I think the right idea is once you have realized what you love and what is the area in which sector area that you want to focus on, go find a job, work under someone, learn about that industry. Because if you learn about that industry, then it becomes easy for you to build that MVP, right? It's very tough for you to build it if you're just solving random problem, right? I mean, if I tomorrow get up and say, I want to build a tax filing website, right? Now, a chartered accountant is so much more better suited to, who has actually helped people file taxes to think about that tax filing website, right? I, being a stock trader, I can't really get up tomorrow morning and say, I want to solve this problem, right? So I think building that MVP is important because a lot of times what happens is people spend a lot of time just thinking about the idea and building like the best product. I can tell you after 10 years of Zerodha, there's nothing called as a best product. There's always an improvement. I think in startup world, the biggest moat is how fast you can put a product out there, right? And in that lies all the other moats, right? Building that MVP and just validating your idea is an extremely important thing. But how do you build that MVP? you need to have competency, right? As in, like I said, right, if you were to ask me, Nitin, can you tomorrow morning build an MVP for a tax filing website? I can't. But Nitin, tomorrow morning, can you get up and build an MVP for some, investing related website? I can, right? So when you're building a business, I think you have to first, select what you're going to build a product on and have core competency in it before building an MVP, So.
Good. So my next question is that the factor which leads to success of any startup. So why more than 6 out of 10 startups are failing? Only the success ratio is 30 to 40%.
No. I mean, 6 out of 10 is an understatement. I mean, I'd say it is 1 out of 100. I mean, I can't at least because I've been doing, I'm in the startup world. I interact with a lot of people. No, I think less than 1 out of 100 people actually succeed. And it's very similar to how trading as well, right? If someone is trading stocks, only less than 1 out of 100 actually hit it big in life. I mean, it's Darwin's theory, right? As in, it's a fittest man wins. So if a lot more people could just get up one day and build a startup, and if it was that easy, everyone would just do it. So it isn't easy. It's tough because you don't need so many businesses, right? If 10 people started business, the world doesn't have space for 10 new businesses to come in, right? As in, the space is only limited for a few, and the fittest one gets an entry in there, right? As in, now how do you ensure you're one of those things? I mean, I think the first thing to know is that there is no way to ensure it, right? This is all right place, right time. A lot of randomness in life, right? As in, if you were to, there is no short way. If someone's selling you a short way is essentially just lying. Right. I mean, so there is no short way of becoming a successful startup. And you have to do your right things. You have to follow a bunch of rules, which is, like I said, right, as in build a business around your core competency, be nimble, take care of your customer, take care of your people who work with you, because they're more important than the business itself. Right? I mean, you need to do those things right. The result you can't really control. The result is almost is just a lottery. It's almost like buying a lottery ticket, right? As in, it's if you can hit, you cannot hit, but your chances of hitting it can you can improve by following a bunch of other rules, which is build a product that you love, take care of your customer, take care of your employees. If you do all of those things, your chances of hitting it improves, but there's no guaranteed way for sure.
So for the startup, while working for earning for more money or developing the company, what is more important, money or fame for you?
Nothing, actually, none of them. It's because you I think the day you start chasing them, I think you're actually in the wrong direction as a business, right? I mean, you're like I said, right, the most fundamental thing here is you need to be loving what you're doing as a business. So you need to love your product, right? So the idea is to get up every day and say, can you do something which is better for your customer? Right? And
it has to be viable. It has to be earning capabilities in the startup.
I mean,
if it is not earning for 2 years or 3 years, when you will, so you have to be chased for the money.
No, absolutely. As in, you need to plan your cash flows. I'm not saying that, right? But do you really have to chase X amount of money or X amount of fame? I think that's a wrong way of looking at it, right? I don't think, those are byproducts, right? As in, there's this old story my uncle used to tell me, right? As in, why does Goddess Lakshmi sit on lotus and Saraswati on a rock, right? As in, what is sitting on a lotus is always floating. You can't chase it down, right? You have to do the right things and hope she comes to you, right? It is, so I think money is a byproduct. So I don't think you can say, I need to get to this much valuation. I need to get to this much revenue. I need to get, of course you need to think about saying, I need to be break even. I need to make some profits. Right, but I don't think that whole having some rupee kind of a target really is the right way to look at it. The right way to look at doing a business is get up every day morning and say, can you do something better for your customer? Right, and if you can keep doing that in and out for like years together, you will build customer love. If you build customer love, your business is going to grow automatically, and then money will come automatically, right? But if you say, I want to make money, you will compromise on what is important for the customer or for the product and all of that, right? Your direction of trying to build it's all focusing money. See, the thing is, traditionally in India, businesses have been built focusing on money, right? But the world is changing very fast, right? As in, the old ways don't really work very well in the future, right? As in, like traditional, a lot of my friends, old friends, have built great jewelry businesses. They've built great, real estate business, etc. Using just having, like this rupee goal in their mind, right? But I don't think it's that easy if you're doing an online tech first business today. I don't think you can keep a rupee goal in mind and just compromise customer interest for your rupee goal, because in today's world, with this whole social media and all of that, if you start doing well in life, people get to know you're doing well, and competition will jump in immediately, right? As in, you will have competition as soon as you start doing a little, making money. And then once, you have 10 people, 10 competitors doing the same thing that you're doing, it all then comes down to customer love, right? As in, whose customer loves that business more, right? So it's about that, as in, it's about just earning customer trust and love, and that has to be the chase. I don't think the money has to be the chase.
So when your break-even point came into your startup, so when you started in 2010 and you built up the tech startup on 2013, so when you become a break-even by that time?
No, I mean, see, luckily for us, like I said, right, before Zerodha started, we were sub-brokers. So there was, this was not like, Zerodha wasn't really the starting, 2010 isn't really the starting point. Like I said, right, a lot of people, suddenly somehow think we are like an overnight success because last 2-3 years we've done very well. But there's actually a 23-year-old journey. It isn't anything overnight, right? As in, there's been a roller coaster for a long period of time, and the roller coaster is now trending up in the last 2-3 years. You never know when the down move starts, right? As in, so it's so because there was history. So from the first year we were break even, right? And one of the, I think we are probably one of the outliers in this Indian startup ecosystem. The large startups in this country where we haven't raised any external capital, so we are bootstrapped, right? So, and one of the reasons for that was that when we started the business, we were able to break even first year, and we have never chased revenue or growth. I mean, philosophically, it might seem a little off that a stockbroker, almost sounds like an anti-capitalist, but we haven't really built this business keeping any revenue growth in mind. So we have always focus has always been to keep improving the product, and we have only hired as many people that are required to improve the product at that period of time, right? So we haven't ever hired people first and then said, if I hire this much people, I'll get this much growth. We haven't advertised till date. Till date, we have spent 0 rupees on marketing and advertisement. So which means that every single customer who has opened an account with us has opened it because of word of mouth kind of advertisement. Right, and not every business can do it, but we were lucky to be able to have done it, so because of which our cost of operations aren't we work at 70% plus gross margin, so it's quite ridiculous actually.
Okay, so what is the key factor or X factor you look in while building up a team, as you said team you acquire? So what the X factor or key factor looks?
Yeah, I mean, I think, see, I mean, it's, I don't know, it might sound a little, like a little weird, but I kind of believe in this whole concept of energy, like positive, negative energies, right? So the first most important thing is, like, is this person sucks my energy out, or, is he contributing, is he a plus to my energy, right? As in, so before hiring, I think it's, especially your core team is almost like marriage, right? As in, it's like having multiple wives. So you need to make sure that you date your core team for a bit before you actually marry into it. Because one of the good things at Zerodha is that our core team hasn't quit till date. Right? Not a single person has quit till date. In a world where people are jumping ship every few months, every few years, and so we've been able to keep our core team together. Yeah, so and none of them, the way we have gone at this is we haven't hired any fancy IIT, IIMs types. We have gone ahead and hired people who had great attitude to life and who had that minimum skill that's required. Kailash, who is our tech CTO, he's the only pedigree in a sort. He's the PhD in AI. He is the only real pedigree tech guy. But in our tech team also, it's all from the schools are like mid-level, tier 2, tier 3 kind of schools, engineering colleges, and a lot of them, we never care about degree and certificates and all of that. It's about just the right kind of attitude to life and a little bit of common sense.
That's good. That sounds good. So, what are the challenges you have faced and how you overcome by your experience? So, what are the challenges you faced?
Right. I mean, the multiple at multiple times of my life. I think I come from a Brahmin family, so I'm probably the first businessman in our extended family. So the first thing, I think, the first challenge for me was I used to trade the markets, right? As in a stock trader in a Brahmin family seems off. So I had to, it took me a long time to convince that I had a real job in life. I mean, people didn't think trading is a real thing to do. My parents were very supportive. So in at least that way, I got through that. I think one of my most challenging times was when I blew out my money and had to work in a call center for 3-4 years. But looking back, I think some of the skills I learned, in a call center is actually helping me till date. Probably, the most I've learned in my life is in this 3-4 years trying to sell people on the phone. During this journey of Zerodha, thankfully for us, there haven't been very large, because there was a 10-12 year experience before Zerodha, right? I think there were a lot of learnings from that experience that we have put in place. So we haven't really had like large issues from which I had to learn. But in hindsight, after doing whatever I've done, I've realized that this whole building a business without having objective of revenue growth, etc., and just building it for the love of it is probably it just makes it all enjoyable, right? As in the team gets up every morning and is all feeling like it might sound funny, but we are a 1,100 member team, and not a single person in our team today has a revenue target, right? Just I think my learning experience has been that don't chase revenue, don't chase profits, chase chase product, chase customer, love, and the rest might happen if you get lucky.
So, can you just share your best experience in your whole journey?
So we recently we did a buyback of stock options as a business at a really good valuation for people who have been with us. So we ended up turning a lot of people into dollar millionaires, and so I think that was probably my best moment in the last 23 years of doing business.
Wow, great. So, do you want to give any, budding advice to the budding entrepreneur? What they should do, what they should not do it, how they can become an entrepreneur and successful entrepreneur?
No, I mean, like I said, right? I mean, like I said earlier, it's about building a business around what you love. But I think the next question is, how do you find something that you love to do in life, right? I think that's like, if you were to ask me, like I have a 5-year-old son, right? My objective with my son is to help him figure what he loves to do. Like today, what happens, I think, with whatever societal pressures, we are forced to go to college, read something that we may not like reading, then do some job which we may not like doing, right? As in, I think the best way to find something you love to do in life is by experiencing as many things as possible, right? Go learn as many new skills as possible, go read as much as possible, right? I mean, if there's a budding chartered accountant, life is beyond your chartered accountant books, right? As in, you maybe have to go read and listen to stuff outside what is really required only for your job. Because that's when you will truly find, I mean, of course, there'll be some chartered accountants who will find their love in chartered accountancy, right? But very unlikely that, a lot of people would be loving what they're doing, right? I mean, they're probably doing it because they have to do it, right? So I think the accidentally, one of the things that I've done right in my life, this wasn't really planned, but very accidentally, was I've actually attempted doing multiple types of things in life. I've right from learning multiple types of musical instruments, playing multiple types of sports, to reading.
So I think your great inspiration journey from talking to you, we came to know no target, no revenue target, no person had left the company. Just follow your basic instinct to provide a customer benefits, a good customer product. It's your today takeaway to the all participants. If you keep on continuing on the right path to develop the customer centric solutions from out of your best experience and without any revenue target, just on the minimum viable product MPV, what he follows while having the experience, provide a product. That's the key success mantra for the Nitin Amar. And you can see him. He's without taking the outside external funding. He reached to that particular height, and he had already said very high regard to the all chartered accountant. Now my chairman is sitting, Hansraj Chugji. He's also thinking to ask you one or two questions because he's also inspiring. So allowing him to interact you to Hansraj.
Yes,
Yes,
I don't have much question related with your this as far as the whatsoever you are doing with. Basically, the starting point, like it is well said by someone, the thought has to be very clear and the efforts has to be very sincere. So how do you, in your life, how do you feel like these words, how this has been a thought process in your inception stage once you thought of bringing out best in your career, or it has been evolved in between the journey you started with? How do you think about these words?
No, I mean, the words are deep and very meaningful. I like I said, I have built a career around something that I love doing in my life. And that was very accidental. I used to, I was saying earlier, I come from a Brahmin family. I used to live around a bunch of Marwadi friends in Bangalore. and introduced me to the market.
Because you were a sub-broker, that's why.
No. This was not. This was my dad was a bank manager in Canara Bank, so he got transferred, and we ended up living in a place in Bangalore, which is next to a Marwadi neighborhood, and that's how I got introduced to stock markets, right? And very easily I could not have been introduced, and I might have become a software engineer working somewhere, right? So I think while we work in all of these things, I think it's very important to know that in life there are things in your control and things which aren't, right? I mean, you can't really change things that aren't in your control, and just worry about what you can really control. But I one thing for sure that I think everyone should do is continuously keep trying to learn new things in life, especially if you want to build a business, etc. All of these new things, new experiences, helps you grow intellectually, and which in turn helps you build your business well.
So thank you, Nitinji. Now we have our next panelist going to be Rohit Bhaji, and I wanted to stay with us. And we'll have maybe have some questions thereafter, but we'll have a discussion with Rohit Bhaji. And Rohit Bhaji, he's a founder, managing director of the RoboSoft Technology and 99 Games. This is the on mobile app development technology hub. One is the RoboSoft, and another is a gaming hub in long-term lasting mobile games. And Rohit ji was one of the early trendsetter when he founded Robosoft in 1996 with a single person company, out of his sister, home in Mumbai where I'm living. He's truly dared to think differently, and that is why he has dared think differently. He reached to that, gaming zone, and he never want to rest. He found numberful, subsidies, two successful subsidies, Global Delight in 2007 and 99 Games in 2008. And in this COVID times, now this it become a highlight point into the all fraternity students and members everywhere. So like now the people are looking for a different zone. So now I welcome Rohit Bharji for this a great building up a 99 games. So I wanted to know from you, Rohit ji, what was the key takeaway to just starting this, being you are the technology hub, you are an entrepreneur, developing the technology, was prompted to be in the game zone. And that is very much early in stage, in 2007 or 2008 only, you thought about the game. So what's you prompted to start in the games? Why not in the other area? Because technology hub. So why only you choose the games?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks, Dheeraj. Thank you, Dheeraj. I'll just give a little bit of a background, so that I can come back to the whole thing of starting 99 games. So I kind of graduated in as an engineer in 92, and I worked for a few years. And I was fortunate enough to go to Japan during the early days of my career, and I spent a few years there. And by 95, end of 95, I knew that okay, if there is something I'm going to do with my life, and I'm going to build world-class products. So Japan was an eye-opener for me, early in my in my career, and there was a time when Japan was kind of competing with US on every front, be it in tech, be it in auto, be it in even in entertainment. They were buying all the Hollywood studios. And I was very impressed. Here was this country that was completely destroyed during the World War. And, within 55, 60 years, they were competing with the most powerful country in the world. And I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to India and start something. I didn't know what, And I came back in 95, end of 95, 96. I thought, okay, I knew two things, really well. One was, building products for Apple Mac platform back then. And there was nobody in India who was doing that. And Apple as a company was almost on the verge of dying as a company. And but it was still a $6 billion company back then, and nobody was writing software for that platform. So I said, let me do that. Let me sit and build that software for Apple platform. And basically it was a software services business, but focused on Apple Mac platform. And I started it in 96 out of my sister's house in Mumbai. And the first 2 years of my life, I learned how not to build a business, how not to start a company. And I did probably all the mistakes that you would do in those early days. And I still remember that when I started the business, I was probably the 53rd or 54th internet account user from in India. Okay, so that was how early it was, that start. But the good thing was in the first 2 years of Robosoft, we were doing services for customers in US, and for the first 2 years I had not seen any of my customers. It was all happening over internet. And after 2 years I realized, okay, Mumbai and my customers are not bothered where I'm located. Why should I be? It doesn't matter for me whether I'm sitting in Mumbai or some other place. And I thought, let me take a chance. Let me go back to my hometown, because I wanted to, make the team larger, and it was very difficult for a small startup to do that in Mumbai. So I moved to, Mangalore initially. Okay, so I was, I'm basically from Udupi, but I thought maybe there is internet connection only in KRSC, the Regional Engineering College, and only there the internet connection. So I thought, let me go there, take up a shed, and I started software development there. So a team went from 2 people to 17, 18 people in the next 2 years, but we are still building software for Apple Mac platform. And Apple, kind of liked the work that we did, and they put us on their website. So by year 2000, Robosoft, the small company, was doing work only for Apple Mac platform, was kind of showcased on Apple's website and as a company. So in year 2000, what happened was, I had a 2-year lease in my shed in KRAC. And they said, look, you need to move on. And I was kind of thinking what next to do. So I thought, okay, let me go back to my native place, that is Udupi, which is, probably 50, 60 kilometers from Mangalore. And, I set up a facility, slightly larger, facility there. And, started hiring engineers. So, all our hires have been from the local engineering colleges. Udupi, Mangalore region is a, land of, great educational talent. And I thought, okay, I think, I have everything I need. I have internet connection, I have great talent, access to great talent. So let me start. So, from year 2000, I had a small team. And then, slowly we started getting customers of, Apple coming and visiting us in Udupi, and, they liked the work that we did. And I think the next 5 to 6 years of our journey, or my journey, was kind of making our customers very happy with the kind of services that we were providing them. So by 2005, we were not just servicing Apple Mac customers, but we started working on games, for our customers. So in all of our business have always been B2B. Okay, so we were building consumer-oriented products. Okay, but we were not selling it directly. It was our customers were selling it directly. So we software for Apple. So Apple was our first customer when we started Robosoft in '96. Okay, but then we started working with Epson, Canon, Hewlett Packard. We worked with multitude of customers, and then we started working with some of the largest gaming companies in the world called Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, and all those companies. And by and large, it was always services, and the work that we were doing was winning global awards and all. So by 2008, we were started wondering as a company, okay, we have been building these great products for our customers, but we don't get the recognition because ultimately the customer sells it, and as a company, Robosoft always stays in the background. So we thought, okay, at that time, Apple had released iPhone, and they had just released something called an app store, which allows anybody sitting anywhere in the world to sell software to the global market. Okay. So Robosoft always had, this experience of building product for the global market. So it was not a big deal for us. So we thought, okay, let us sit in India and start building games for the world market. And that's how, the idea of 99 games, started. And there is a, fun part to the whole, 99 games. During the early days of the whole Apple ecosystem, the mobile ecosystem, games were all sold at 99 cents. Okay. Everything was selling at 0.99. So we thought, okay, we will make a company that sells 0.99. Okay. So that's why the, came company, started with 99 games. And basically what happened was we took a few people who were, building the games at Robosoft, and, we all got together and said, look, let us start building stuff, but, let us not give this stuff to customers, but start selling it directly to the end consumers. Okay. And so the first the first product we did was chess, and the second product that we did was a word game. And we tasted some very early success in 2010 when our game went on to become the top sold 14th top sold game anywhere in the world on Apple App Store. And we thought, okay, now this is going to be all set for great times for us. So that's how the journey of 99 games started. It in a way started in a service oriented company called Robosoft, which that company is still there. And though I don't actively run that company, we have a CEO running Robosoft Technologies. But I hired a CEO a few years ago who is running that company. But now I'm focusing more on 99 games and building games for the global market, and now for India.
So do you have came out the IPL also, cricket match?
No, we incidentally, we had a specific theory about building games. So when we were building games, we realized that India was great at consuming games, but not at monetizing. We were not, people did not have this habit of spending money on games in India. Even now, it is still very less. But all the monetization used to happen on the global market. So we decided to focus on building games for the world market. And in fact, we built a game called Star Chef. That was our first major success as a game, which we built, and all conceptualized, designed, developed in Udupi. But we went on to make around $25 million in revenue, just from that one particular game, where we would monetize using in-app purchases, selling only virtual goods. So people would pay us only if they're happy with the game, and we figured that that is a good model. And again, the whole idea was that geographies are irrelevant, and that was a strong theme with what I started this company, that it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're doing great stuff, be it your business partners or be it end consumers, they will, if you take care of them, they will take care of you in terms of making sure that monetization happens, business grows, and all those kind of things.
So what kind of challenge you faced while rolling out these games? I know that you were already in the same business, B2B. Now you came to B2C. So do you face anything, because the markets were different and B2C market is different? So how you market yourself? What was the challenge you faced?
Yeah, I think it's completely different, right? So when we were starting 99 Games, I thought, how difficult can this be? We know games, we have built games that are loved by consumers outside the country and in the world. So we thought, okay, if we make, it will sell, and we were greatly mistaken by that, because the whole conceptualization was in our hand, and ultimately the marketing and discovery was also in our hands. And that was the greatest learning for us. How do you sit in one corner of the world and make sure that your games are discovered by consumers across the world? Okay, so that's a huge learning for us, and we as a company we continue to learn that lesson every day. That's
yes. Now, being you a startup, you are successful venture in the 99 Games, number of successful, you came out. So basically, startup is a passion, and passion with drive, focus on idea. So how should one find a right idea for startup, as you find a good idea, okay, and which you built on your area? Like Nitin is also find their ideas to build the tech on his business. So what's how to begin the startup? What they should thought it, whether only the idea keeps in the mind, or execution also to be in the mind, or delivery is also to be in mind. So what should be in the mind of the youth people who looks after to start a new journey? Like both people are here. So what should the newcomer, without having money, just having the knowledge, no background, no experience, how they should start it?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, the most important thing is focus. What do you want to do? You should be absolutely clear about what you want to do, what you're good at, what keeps you happy, what you're passionate about. I think those are all the most important things, because ultimately a lot of startup thing is all about passion. If you have passion, and if your close teammates have that passion, and passion kind of percolates down the hierarchy. And I think it's very important that you live and live by that particular passion. Even now in 99 Games, as a even though we have to do all these multiple things, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is play my game. The last thing I do when I go to sleep is play my games. So it is funny, today morning I'm an early riser, and my daughter was waking up for her exams, and she came to my room, and I was just gotten up and I was playing a game, and she was like, "What are you doing 5 o'clock in the morning playing a game?" But that's the kind of passion you need. That's the first thing that you remember when you get up, and the last thing you think of before you go to sleep. So I think everything else comes in between. Niche is there. Taking care of your people, most important things, taking care of your customers, equally important thing. And but I think it comes down to focus and passion at the end of the day.
So you were in the software development, product development. So what kick, you were happy in that area, B2B market. What was your kick to begin the, such a gaming or B2C market or start in new startup?
Yeah. So
what was in your mind?
Yeah. So, like I told you, see, when we were doing B2B, it was always going to be a customer's product, right? When it goes there in the market, we would see, at one point in time, the software that Robosoft did was there on every printer that was sold in the world. But, those printers were sold as either a HP or a Canon or a Epson or things like that. But, we knew that our software is there on every one of those printers. Okay. And that is, what, kind of, started that whole thing that, maybe, someday we should build a company where we can claim that even the customer knows that, the creator of this game is, 99 Games. So that was a trigger for at least, for us when we created 99 Games, that if we do something, we should get the recognition for it. When the product gets the recognition, our people get the recognition, and, those, things kind of were very, very strong for us.
So, do you think that there should be game for the chartered accountant?
Yeah, I think.
Why don't you think about they should build up their mind in gaming?
Yeah. So one of the funniest thing is when we build games, we build games for non-gamers. We build games only for mobile, and they say mobile gaming is not for gamers. The real gamers always use a console like a PS3, PS4, PS5, and a Sony Xbox, and also the real gamers are all on dedicated devices. Mobile gamers, on the other hand, are playing a game because they want a distraction, or they just want a quick 10-minute break from their work, and that's our trick. When we are building stuff at 99 Games, it's all about making games for non-gamers. It is not making game for gamers. Okay, so that is the fundamental thing that drives every decision that we make. Would somebody be able to play this game, enjoy the game in the 10-minute time that he has? And I think that is where our inspiration comes from. And in 99 Games, one of our other focus was building games for the women segment, because again it's all about picking niche, and we thought, okay, women gamers between age 25 to 55 are the most involved gamers, and we should build games for that particular segment.
So games, sometimes people think about a lottery. It's like a lottery, or like earning for money, or just spending time, just kicking your time. What kind of thoughts you have? So sometimes a lot of lucrative offers coming in the games. If you game this chess, you will get 1 crore rupees, something like that. So are there a lottery gaming or is it pure gaming?
Yeah, so I think in the last year or two, even in the country, there is this whole concept called as real money gaming, which is I think what you're speaking about. That is picked up a lot of traction, and which kind of promises people that, hey, look, if you're good at something, you can win great prizes. And in the technical parlance, we call that as esports. Okay, and there are different categories, subcategories in this game, where if you're really good, it's just like a sports player. In a sports player, if he is really good, then there are people who will go to watch that particular sports person. So there is a form of entertainment, a sub-entertainment that is starting in gaming, where they are saying that if you're a great player, you can compete with other great players in the world and probably win prizes for that. So they kind of define this whole thing as a skill. It's not about chance. It's more about, having that skill. Just like a sport is a skill stuff, so they are saying that, there's a category of games now that are coming up that kind of offer tournaments, based on skills. But here the skill is about playing games.
So my last question to you, sir. Last question is that in the current pandemic, so you have seen that current pandemic is there. So what was your learning, and how your company make benefits out of this pandemic, and what is the future on this your industries?
Yeah, so I think we saw two major trends in this whole pandemic. One was that people just started playing more for more amount of time. right? So suddenly, everybody had that time on their hands, which they probably, hadn't had. And, kind of, I think in terms of habits, in terms of time spent in games, it easily increased, for us, and it increased around 40 to 50%. So if somebody was playing a game for 1 hour, now they are, playing it for, 40% more of their time. And in our business, that's an important measure. How long do, people play your games in a day on an average? Okay. And the second thing that we saw was, we thought it was going to be a temporary phenomena for the pandemic time. Even now, we think, we are seeing that people are still, spending the same amount of time playing the game. So, we think, this whole, the habit change that happened due to pandemic is kind of going to stay with us, which is a great thing, for the gaming industry.
So I think one of the, to the participant, it is very clear. Both the panelists, Nitin Kamaji, Rohit Bhaji, is very simply said that, build your startup around you with your experience, where you're working. It's take time, create a product, a serviceable product, not run for the money, run for the product and run for the quality services. And definitely, these two gentlemen, they spent 25 years or 20 years in the working, then only it became a successful venture and successful, outfit it is there. So my question to both of you, sir. Now today is the more than 10,000 viewers are chartered accountants, and there may be market for this to the CA students. We have around 1 million students. We have about 10 lakh students and 3,90,000 members. So, for the Nitin ji, you might be aware of that. We are the finance person, and you have till now, the journey was, entrepreneurial journey of the chartered accountant in the share market, whether it's Motilal Oswal, whether it's Anand Rathi, whether it's Nirmal Jain, all of the people in the stock market, all were the chartered accountant. That was started in 91, and now the something is new tech startup, entrepreneurial journey started, which you took the lead. So, do you find any role of the chartered accountant in your startup? Do you want to do something, for chartered accountant, a tie up something like that with the issue? Hey, look, these are the chartered accountants are there, and brokering something, creative thought process. So, what's your thought, for the CA's members?
Oh, see, firstly, amongst the many secrets that has helped us grow, right? One secret is our chartered accountant. His name is Om Prakash. So okay. He's a brother from another mother. So we both started our careers, and I think when we started with Zerodha, I was his first customer or second customer. So, one of the reasons I can focus so much on my business is because he looks at the finances so closely, right? So he and his brother Bharat have been extremely crucial and instrumental in our business. So I don't think without a chartered accountant, you would be seeing me here. I would be probably worrying about my finances. So we, amongst the many startups that we have partnered with in Rainmatter, one company is called Quico. I think one of the problems our customers generally have is that people, when they trade the markets, they think that if they don't make a profit, they don't have to declare. And they also think that if they make a profit, if they don't take the money to their bank account, it is okay not to declare, right? Which is very clearly a flawed logic. And most of our customer base is less than 30 years of age, right? So there is a huge opportunity here to partner chartered accountants to kind of at least create awareness amongst our audience, saying it's important to file returns. It doesn't matter if you make profit, don't make profit, or if you take it to the bank. So we thought of doing this directly. We ran this initiative for a while, but we didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And we partnered with this company called Quico. And Quico is almost become like a marketplace of chartered accountants. So they are partnering with chartered accountants. They have an integration, like a tech integration within Zerodha. So within our trading platform, if people need some tax filing help, they click on it, they take them to the Quico site. And because it's important that, at our scale, the product is kind of uniform, right? It is, you don't give differential experiences, right? As in, I can't, send one customer to one chartered accountant, he gets a different kind of experience, send him to another place, he gets it, right? So we have to, kind of create a uniform kind of experience. And we're working with this. If there are people listening to this who want to kind of look at this opportunity, I think looking at quico.com is a good idea.
So do you have the API for your software? So all the transaction can be imported into the software, and the software can, while done by the chartered accountant, can be audited and can be prepared the return filings.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. We already have that in place, and it's one of those few things that makes us very special in this industry.
Great. So Rohitji, as you aware of that, we have family of 390,000 members and near about 1 million CA students. So what you want to say to the members and audience, how they can start their own venture and they look upon such kind of opportunity and can become a success in their life?
Yeah, I think alluding to Nitin's point, even my background is tech, and as a tech founder, I was able to focus so much on tech because my brother was running the finance part of the organization, and I never really had to bother about that part of it. So that was something that I was always not good at, to be honest. And he would be there, and he would look at everything, and he'll just say, in our language, Konkani, then for me that's good enough. He said that everything is good, then that's it. So I think if you are looking at startup, I think the most important thing is to look at that particular aspect. Are there areas that you can build a product around? That is kind of like a mystery to a lot of tech guys, right? A lot of us, we think finance is something that's completely beyond us, and we just don't get it. And can you collaborate with a good tech guy, but come out with something that is kind of a disruptive thing in this area, and probably make it big. Ultimately, if there is something that this whole my journey has taught me, or this whole COVID thing has taught us, it's like in this time and age, geographies are really irrelevant. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as you do great stuff, as long as you focus on a major pain point and just persevere on it. I think focus and perseverance is I think it's what kind of lives with you forever.
So thank you both gentlemen, Nitin Kamath and Rohit Bharji, for your excellent insight story about your journey. I'm sure about it, with your both journey and my youth, as Nitin has said that, his customer is up to 30th age. I can say that, we have around 3 lakh members near about in the range of 30 to 40 range. And the largest audience are the youngster, are there, and definitely they are watching it, and the visited will find out on the YouTube and will see it correlate with your story and build up their empire in the startup and will become a successful in years to come. And thank you. Now I invite my chairman Hansraj Chugji, who took this leadership, to sum up the things and start for the new session. So closing remark by the Hansraj Chugji. Yes, audible.
Yeah. I really appreciate the way these two gentlemen have really shown the way they have spread, or the way they have spelled out their journey, the methodology, the growth path, and the looking forward, the knowledge to our members or the participants, how the things are being built in. Things are being built in on some methodology or the other. It's one's own perceptions also. But there are certain common things, whether it is the any business or any new venture you want to enter into, there are certain things are common in each and every ventures. So I am really very grateful and thankful to both of them. for sparing their valuable time and getting us so vast a knowledge, so that our members, those who wants to venture into whatsoever they need at the very first stage, or those who really wants to serve to the community in the startup ecosystems, they also gained out of their the knowledge whatsoever they have shared with us. Thank you, Rohitji. Thank you to you also, and thank you to Rohit and Nitin also for taking time out for the this startup week, startup manthan, and whenever and look forward in the time to come, whenever we need you, we expect both of you to take time out for the professional fraternity of the chartered accountancy also. So with these words, I'm very grateful and thankful to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, friends, stay tuned. We're starting the next session immediately. The next session is going to be there. And we're just waiting for our news speakers. Next speaker is joining us in 2 minutes time. So stay tuned and hope you like this fireside chat with both the gentlemen Nitin Kamath and Mr. Rohit Bhatt. I think the next is about government ecosystem. We have a lot of government people like Jeet Vijayvargiya. He's a CEO of the Mehti Startup Hub, and we have the Astha Global ma'am from the head of the Startup Invest India. So these 2 people are there. Before that, I'll request my chairman Hansraj Chugji to have a opening remark on the this topic, and then request Aniket Talati ji might be there. So for the opening remark. So welcome address by Hansraj Chugji.
Yeah, thank you, Dheeraj bhai. Thank you. I welcome Mr. Jeet Vijayvargiya ji, who happens to be the CEO of the mighty Startup Hub, Ministry of Electronics and IT. Another speaker with us, she may be joining at any moment, Ms. Astha Grover, head of the Startup Invest India. Friends, though this program is being initiated with so many things to be kept in the mind, whether this government ecosystem for the startups or the entrepreneurial development of these skills, whether they are born or they have to be inculcated or the created and the crafted by oneself or with the support of the others. It is well said and the proven, like the knowledge which we gather from the relevant professionals or the relevant personalities, that stores in the mind and the actions starts working accordingly. And the same is with Jeet ji, the person who has joined us, who is kind enough to take the time. And naturally his background, we can look at, he is the person with the capabilities and the competencies. And he's a CEO with the mighty Startup Hubs, nodal agency for the Ministry of Electronics and IT. And the background is the financial side also. It is not like it's a techno people, those who really take care of it. He is a background with the as an investor advisor with 15 plus years of the experience in the USA and the international private equity, venture capital, university system administration. He was with the FINRA SEC as an investment banker, broker dealer, and so many good things to his credit. Investment director at an emerging market focused privately equity fund. He is a BBA, MA, ABD from the leading universities in the USA. Friends, you see like the system, how it works. it is the startup is the mind one starts looking at something different to be carried out, so then automatically it paves the way. It is well said, once there is a will there is a way also at the same time. So Jeet will be Jeet Vijay Vardhya ji will be from the government ecosystem. He is there with us. Now, I'll request Dheeraj ji to take this particular session forward so that we, to the participants, with the strength of the knowledge of our panelists and the speakers, will be delivering the best to them, will be giving the best to our participants. Dheeraj ji, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman Hansraji. So welcome all the participants once again to the second session of today. We had the inaugural session, and which was inaugurated by none other than our fraternity member Piyush Goyal, and he spoke very highly about the chartered accountant, and chartered accountant can play important roles in the startup ecosystem, as they can start their own startup, even they can service to the startup, because we all chartered accountant in financial, and the startup ecosystem start with the financial only. So once we give a proper funding or proper service, then startup can be built on it. So very rightly said by the Piyush Goyal, we play an important role, and he quoted the Bharat Ratna, APJ Abdul Kalam, the president of India. He said that chartered accountant partners, the chartered accountant can play important role in the startup beginning also. Though we started early in 2018 also, now is still continuing with the startup ecosystem. We chartered accountant providing a lot of services to the startup. So let's understand from the METI what are the METI startup hub helping startup, how they are helping to the people. What are the funds are there? How we can access this particular fund? The we talk about the fund of initial corpus of 10,000 crore and others. How they can get the fund? What are the role of the allocation of the fund? What are the governance system can work? What are the I've seen the METI, artificial intelligence, blockchain. Lot of things are happening around, and government is prepared with the ecosystem, and various initiatives being taken care of by the METI as a startup hub. So let's hear from the G about the METI hub. Let's see this very important aspect, government ecosystem for us. Very, very important topic. Going to take over to the GG. I wanted to welcome to you in this particular forum. We have around 390,000 members and 1 million students, and hoping that more than 10,000 people are going to watch these events. So wanted your opening comments and things. Then you welcome, GG. Over to you, sir.
Hi, Dheeraj, thank you so much for the invite. Am I audible?
Yes, very much audible.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for the invite, and good evening to all the participants here today. And I know you are giving them 15 CPE hours, so I'm sure there's a lot of attendance as well. So that should be very helpful. But it's a wonderful evening, and it's good to be with the people who are of a similar background. So how I'll structure today's talk is, first couple of minutes, I'll talk about my background so the participants can know a little better. Second, I'll showcase, I'll do a short PPT presentation on the schemes and the various opportunities in the ministry currently. And then we'll do more of Q&A, because I think Q&A is where the fun will be. So I'll try to keep my monologue to 10 minutes, and then we can have more of a Q&A time. Just to give a brief background, as Hansraji was describing, so I grew up in the United States mainly, and by profession, I'm an investment banker, an investment advisor. Not an engineer at all, so I did my bachelor's, master's, MBA, PhD work, all in strategy and finance, and all in US, and I worked in private equity. Wow. And as well as I ran a $60 million fund, making investment in early stage startups coming out of university technology in US. So that was back in the US, and in India over the last 4 years that I've been here, I've been mainly in the investment side of the private sector. I recently joined the government, and this is where you see the motivation and the intent of the government is that they want private sector participation in the governance as well. They are very keen to bring the experts who are from the ecosystem so that they can better relate and come up with much more strategically refined ideas for implementation and not just a top-down policy-making body. So here, I will touch briefly on what government is doing currently, particularly the Ministry of Electronics and IT. So if we take a step back, Indian startup ecosystem is what? It's a toddler, right? It's 4 years old. 2016 is when our Honorable Prime Minister gave that clarion call that Startup India is the future, that Digital India is the way India will move forward. And within 4 impactful years, we can see where we are. Of course, in the life cycle of a company or an industry or an ecosystem, 4 years is a very small amount of time. And in the human life cycle, a 4-year means just a toddler. It's a baby, right? And so as a baby, there's a lot of growing pains, there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of learning, there's a need for improvisation and improvement. And that's what the government has been doing. But the 4 years have given us so many outcomes that we have become a top startup nation in the world. Also, we are a top destination for foreign capital coming into the startup ecosystem. And our startups are not only solving the problems of India, but they are exporting our solutions around the world. And if we look at it, even in the crises that we faced in the year 2020, that we are coming close, closing the chapter on, if we really think back, it is the vision that the Prime Minister had to launch these initiatives, that we had this opportunity and this ability to go digital during this pandemic. We were able to do so many of the things to solve normal human beings' situation and improve their living condition through the digital mediums that we have in place. And that is what the backbone of our startup ecosystem is. Now, talking particularly about what the ministry is doing, I'll share my couple of slides here, which should help. So is the slide visible, Dheeraj? Okay, great.
Yes, visible.
Okay, great. So Ministry of Electronics and IT has multiple initiatives to promote, support, and accelerate the growth of electronics and IT industry in India. Now, one of the major element verticals within that mission is the startups and the technological evolution and innovation that is happening at every layer of our society. And so how does MITI consolidate, integrate, synergize, and enhance all these initiatives is the role of the MITI Startup Hub. So we work to make sure that all the schemes, all the programs, all the assets that the ministry has created around the country, they can all be synergized and more results and outcome can be delivered from them. So currently, what does MITI have? So MITI, under MSH, we have various schemes which cover the whole value chain of a startup. So for example, I'll give you an example of Tide 2.0, which is an active scheme. In that, what we are doing is that we are giving EIR grants, so that's the Entrepreneur in Residence grant. So it's for the people who only have an idea, but not a company yet. And so they get a stipend through the incubators to work on their idea, refine it, and come up with a business plan. So that's the idea stage. Then second step we have under the Tide scheme is the startup grant, whereby money is given to startups to develop the prototype and the basic minimal viable product. And a limited grant funding is provided for that. Now, on the third stage, as the startup grows and they need a bit of a scale-up funding. So the ministry has a scale-up funding program where they award up to 40 lakh per startup and for a total of 40 startups. So recently we finished the review for one such program. So we'll be handing out 10 crores of grant funding for these startups. And that's 40 startups getting the chance of getting some scalable funding that they can leverage in the private sector. Now, aside from that one scheme itself, we have other schemes such as IPR, so whereby any patent, trademark, copyright, design, anything that is filed either domestically or internationally, the ministry has a scheme for the reimbursement of the expenses incurred in those filings. So if it's 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, up to 15 odd lakh rupees can be reimbursed to make sure that, Indian innovators are actually protecting their creation. Because IP is not only about protecting value, but it's also about building valuation. Because any startup, when it goes to funding, one of the key questions any investor asks is, what is so different about you than the rest of the others? And having some sort of a technological advantage or a barriers to entry is a critical element to the success of a startup, because it provides a barrier and the early mover advantage, which the others cannot replicate as easily. Aside from the IPR scheme, we run various challenges with corporates, and I'll get to them in a minute. So under the TIDE scheme, we have 51 incubators across India that are supported, and they are in various verticals. Some are sector focused and some are generic. So we have an education, energy, infra, clean tech, agri-tech. Now, aside from the 51 center incubators, we have more than 22, close to 26 become operationalized now, center of excellence. Center of excellence are for the deep dive within a particular vertical. So be it fintech, be it IoT, be it Medtronics. So the idea is that these are more deep dive technical centers where people can actually work on base innovation as well as the commercialization of those innovations. And so these are also spread out across the country. So these are some of the examples of them. So automotive CO is at Pune. We have AR, VR CO at Bhubaneswar, blockchain in Gurgaon, gaming, VFX, AI as well, and COE on IoT at Bengaluru. So these are some of the centers that we have. Now, aside from that, we also run accelerator scheme, because incubators are more lifelong. I mean, they take a much longer time for gestation. Accelerator is more time-bound, more outcome-driven. So we run various accelerator programs for startups that are really rapidly scaling. So we are running 3 different ones right now.
But we do understand for innovations which do not fit the tender bucket, how do you showcase that? So we have developed a Startup India showcase to highlight these innovations to different ministries. And we are in the process of conducting buyer-seller meets as well for startups across different sectors with government and with different PSUs. The third pillar that you see on your screen is access to capital. Now, why deliberately we have put this as a third pillar is because we believe that startups should first focus on becoming sustainable. The common mistakes we see startup doing is looking for funding even before they have started their operations, or even before they have got some traction. So to avoid these gaps, what we advise startups is you figure out your business model first, you understand what you have to do first, and then go step by step. You explore government grants instead of directly going from VC money. Are there any grants that apply to your sector that would be relevant for you? You use that, you meet the milestones and get the grants. So MIT has been giving grants. I think Jeet would have covered that through the TIDE scheme. How there are different departments, science and technology, MIT, biotechnology, who are giving these grants. Access that, use that money. You talk about collateral-free loans. You talk about risk-free capital through seed money. And as everyone here knows, there is a fund of funds set up by the government when the Startup India Action Plan was announced. It's a 10,000 crore fund of funds being managed by SIDBI. My colleague Kritika will be talking about it more in detail. But just to highlight, the role of the government is to mobilize capital for this ecosystem. So while 10,000 crore has been put in by the government, out of which 4,000 crore has already been given to 52 venture capital funds, from this 4,000 crore, 30,000 crore money has been committed by VC funds. So we are talking about a 7 to 8 catalyzing effect in the ecosystem. From nowhere, we came to an 8x amount of money being available for this ecosystem. And that's the job of the government, to make a pool of funds available for you so that startups can have access to that. we are in the process of coming up with a few more schemes, and we'll be talking about them as and when we finalize them. We can go to the next slide, Kritika. Yeah. So, when we started, I have been a founding member of the team, and we were just 4 to 5 members working from Vigyan Bhavan in Delhi. And we were a small team. But we realized that if we have to promote entrepreneurship in every district, in every block of the country, as was the vision of the Prime Minister, we need to have a digital presence as well. Thanks to internet penetration, thanks to the young mindsets who are looking to solve problems, we were receiving a lot of queries. We were receiving a lot of interest from a lot of entrepreneurs who wanted support from us. So with that mandate, we developed India's largest virtual incubator, which is our website, startupindia.gov.in. Any user can register on this for free. What it does for you is that, one, you don't need my support to connect with an investor or a mentor. This website is built on a gamification model. So if I'm an adtech startup today, or maybe I'm a startup in the finance sector, I can go select my sector, select location if location is a constraint for me, and look at mentors, investors, corporates near me, and send them a connection request. So it works like a mini LinkedIn. You send a connection request, and once it's accepted, you take that conversation forward. So every quarter, about 3,000 connection requests are accepted, and those conversations are taken forward. All the programs that we connect with corporates, with government bodies, are hosted through this portal. So on any point of time, every month, I think about 20 to 30 programs are active, which means, let's say I am this, when CRPF was looking for solutions for soldiers, they said that I'm looking for instant blood clot solution for soldiers who go out there and fight, and there is no first aid kit there. How do you control blood instantly? Or I need better spike shoes. So programs and challenges like this are also hosted through this, and people apply. We connect them with the ministry, demos happen, pilot orders happen, and that's how we take it forward. The website is also a repository of all the information that you need, be it for state policies, be it for center level policy, be it for government grants. Or if you need HR templates, toolkits, NDA documents, all that also has been put forward as a part of this website for ease of navigation. And the very last thing, we have a lot of pro bono service providers who have come forward to support and give back to this ecosystem. So free cloud credits, free customer suites, free SMS toolkit services, free legal advices are also available if you are a part of this community. So if you haven't already registered, please do so. We have about 4.5 lakh users already with a monthly active user base of 7,500. Next slide, Kritika. Okay, so yeah. Like I mentioned in the start, it is a cumulative effort of the center and the state to build this ecosystem that you see right now. There are about 36, I don't think the slide is updated. It shows 26, but the current number is 30. We have about 27 states and through UTs which have a startup policy. If you could go to the next slide, I'll tell you what it means for you. So irrespective of whatever location you have and over and above what the center government has to offer for you, a lot of states are providing beautiful incentives to entrepreneurs in their nations, in their states. So for example, if you're an innovator in Gujarat, you will get 10,000 monthly sustenance allowance. If you are a startup in Kerala, they fund your patent support. They take you for international exhibitions at the cost of the state government. If you are a startup in Rajasthan, again, 10,000 per month is provided as a sustenance allowance for 1 year. And the Rajasthan government also works very actively with startups so that their departments could procure orders up to a total maximum value of 1 crore directly from startups in certain specific sectors. Karnataka, as we all know, is a leading hub as well as ranks high. It tops high in the global ranking as well. Has beautiful schemes around funding through the Karnataka Elevate program, provides patent support up to 2 lakhs, gives procurement orders as well. So how do you access all this information is through the Startup India website I just spoke about. Select your state, see the fiscal incentive, non-fiscal incentive, and everything will be very clear to you on what is it that you can avail from different states. Next slide, Kritika. I think, yeah. We've already covered a lot of this. You can also put the next slide because the numbers will come. but just a glimpse of the benefits which the users have awaited so far. Like I mentioned, almost touching 40,000 startups right now. Income tax exemption is provided, which Kritika will be talking about in more detail. Through all the pro bono service offerings, about 3,000 plus startups have benefited with a value of over $3 million US. And like I mentioned, all the programs which any ministry, any state, any incubator, any corporate has to look for this ecosystem are hosted through this platform. And about 400 plus startups have already, and these 400 are the ones who have actually got either pilot orders or cash grants or funding support from organizations like these. Next slide, Kritika. I think now I'll invite my colleague Kritika. She leads the regulatory team within Startup India and will be taking you through the specific incentives or support which the government has offered for entrepreneurs.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kritika Narula and I'm leading the regulatory vertical at Startup India. I would quickly take you through the process simplification or the benefits that Startup India initiative provides to startups in the country. As Asta was mentioning about the government procurement, the government e-marketplace, the government has taken initiative to get startups exempt from 3 important criteria. That is the prior turnover experience, the earnest money deposit criteria, and the age of the startup. As you know, that startup is a different bunch from a regular enterprise. It was important for startups to have these exemptions to compete with other big business houses and apply for these tenders. With this, Startup India has successfully helped over 6,600 DPIIT recognized startup to achieve approximately 1,413 crores of orders from the government. So this is the kind of market that has built by Startup India for startups in the country. Along with that, we also have patents and trademark rebate benefits. Startup India has taken an initiative where government is allowing 80% rebate benefits while a startup registers for patent application and 50% rebate benefits in a trademark application benefit. With this, we also have various taxation benefits given to startups. I'm happy to inform you all that startups enjoy 3 years of tax holiday in a block of 10 years where no taxation is charged on startups. So this is one big achievement that Startup India was able to pull off in past 4 years. Along with this, as we know that startups at the initial stage, they majorly fall in the burden of compliance burden. To further ease down the burden process, and as we all talk about ease of doing business, Startup India has taken several initiatives where compliance burden has been reduced on startups. For example, we have launched a facility of self-certification under various labor and environmental laws. We have tried to overcome the physical inspection area so that startups are free from these kind of a burden, and also to promote digitization here. With this, I would just like to quickly summarize on the facilitation support that Asta was mentioning a few minutes ago, that we have approximately 210 corporate connects helping startups to launch their products, to mentor them, along with which we also have government connects where we have tied up with various central and state ministries, state governments, where startups get a platform to showcase their products and help achieve procurement orders from these government. So as Asta mentioned, that we have also launched 30 policies with state governments, 27 states and 3 union territories, which also provide individual benefits to startups along with the benefits that are already given by the central scheme. We also have the pro bono resources, as we just talked about. For example, the free templates. Startups keep on struggling for a lot of compliance stuff. For example, how to draft an NDA, how to draft a term sheet, or maybe how to draft an offer letter. So we have created a repository of all such free templates so that the cost burden on the startups can be reduced and they can focus more on the business idea rather than focusing on how to struggle with getting these information and the documentation done. So with this, as we were all talking about fund of funds, I would like to talk a little bit more in detail about fund of funds. So to provide equity funding support for development and growth of innovation-driven enterprises, the government has set aside a corpus of 10,000 crore, which is managed by SIDBI. The fund is in the nature of fund of funds, which means that government participates in the capital of SEBI-registered venture funds, which invest twice the amount in startups. So just to talk about on the number front, as of 19th August 2020, 5,000 crore was released in the financial year 15-16. Crore was released in 16-17. 400 odd crores were released in 19-20. And recently, the government has released a tranche of 1,000 crores for this fund of funds. Along with this, SIDBI has committed approximately 4,000 crore fund to 56 SEBI registered AIFs, alternative investment funds. These funds have raised a corpus of around 30,000 crores. Along with this, this funds has further been invested in 352 startups. So this is how we have been able to achieve 7x catalyzing effect in the startup ecosystem. Another recent initiative that Government of India has taken, the Ministry of Commerce has taken, is the National Startup Awards. The PIIT conceptualized an edition of National Startup Awards in November 2019 to recognize the outstanding startup ecosystem enablers that are building innovative products or solution and scalable enterprises in the country. So the award was launched under various categories, as you can see, agriculture, education, health, industry 4.0, so and so forth. So we received approximately 1,600 applications from across the country from 27 states and UTs, and we onboarded a dedicated panel and distinguished jury members to screen these applications and select the best of bunch that we have in the country. These startups were awarded a cash prize, and the success of the first National Startup Awards, this has become an annual event, and we'll be opening the next set of applications soon. The international market access. Asta already talked about that, how we are connected with different countries and how we have launched several bridges with various countries like Portugal, Israel, Netherlands, etc., which helps in cross-border exchange of startups. This also acts as a market entry support for Indian startups who are looking to expand to other countries and vice versa. So we facilitate and we connect Indian startups with local stakeholders for successful business expansion and opportunities across the countries. One of such great launch is Japan-India Startup Hub launch. The Honorable Prime Minister of both the countries launched this information bridge between the two countries along with Tech for Future SoftBank Challenge to help them scout for innovative solutions in the selected focus areas. We have also partnered with various corporates, for example, WhatsApp, SoftBank, which handhold startups from time to time and provide various pro bono services like cloud credits by Amazon, etc., to further enable the startup ecosystem in the country. These are the few examples of our pro bono service providers like Amazon, Vakil Search, Zoho, Cloud Telephony, etc. Along with this, we are also connected with government on daily basis, and we have tied up with various ministries at central and state level, and we keep on launching various programs required from time to time and offer support to startups that is required from that can be provided by the government, and maybe by procuring solutions or maybe by overcoming some regulatory hurdle, etc. With this, we also thought of conceptualizing an entrepreneurship program. So we have a dedicated Startup India learning program on our website where any person can go sign up and have access to this course, which will help them understand the nitty-gritty of entrepreneurship in the country. The basic terminologies, maybe what is startup, what is entrepreneurship, how to start a business in India, how to set up a company in India. So this kind of a program, this kind of a learning program is offered free of cost to all our hub users, and users can avail the benefit of this program and increase their acumen, the business acumen, if they want to start an entrepreneurial journey in the country. Along with this, we also have other courses on our website, which you can have access to. Please visit our website and look at the courses that we offer. With this, I would like to just sum up our extensive partner network in the startup ecosystem, varying from corporates to mentors to angel funds to government incubators and so on and so forth.
So I think
that's it from our side. Asta, over to you.
Thank you, Asta. Thank you, Kritika, for a wonderful presentation. I think, that's a key eye-opener, for all participants over here. What the, immense benefit being provided by the government of India and in the Startup India. Each and everything, you are taking care of the for the startup. From the nurturing to the incubation to the funding, everything in the bucket. Excellently. Some, I don't think, there are the questions are available, but a few, still are pending from my side. As you mentioned that startups are getting an income tax benefit. Do you need to register it, right? So for the startup registrations, what are the formalities are there? What are the documentation are required in this documentation, which is pending from the side?
Yeah, so fairly simple. Earlier when the action plan was launched, it was a little complicated where, you either had to have a patent or get a letter of recommendation from an incubator. But we avoided this layer altogether. We thought that, if we will not adopt simpler, easier compliances for startups, let us be the, setting examples for all the other departments. So now it's a fairly simple online form. You need to fill in that form. It's available on our website. It will ask you for an incorporation certificate. So if you're an LLP or a partnership firm or a private limited company, whatever form you are in, put in that incorporation certificate. Add as many details as possible, because the more expressive your form is, the better it helps us to evaluate for tax exemption. So we don't ask for too many documentation, but the idea is that the form should be complete. And you have to choose the stage very carefully. So if you're saying I'm a startup who has developed a POC, we will ask you to show your websites as sample or as sample. So in terms of mandatory requirements, majorly it's only incorporation certificate, but every other detail, I always advise startups, this is your only chance to present yourself in front of any committee who's reading this application form. So take your time, make it more expressive, fill in all the details, and within 48 to 72 hours, your application will be approved. You don't need an external support. If you know your business well, you can easily do this.
Wow. So can you just give me some reason for rejections and any lacking on it, so people can aware of that, this should be avoided?
Yeah, so I'll start. I'll let Kritika also build on this. Two things I wanted to clarify. One is the recognition bit. The second is the tax exemption bit. So I think you're asking about the reason for rejection around tax exemption. Recognition, the reason for rejection is, the definition is very simple. You have to be 10 years, not more than 10 years old, being innovative, contributing to jobs or wealth, or an registered entity in India in the form of private limited, LLP or a registered partnership. At the time of recognition, sole proprietorship is not allowed, unfortunately, because is not very comfortable for us to manage it. And a company which has already exceeded 100 crores in revenue does not qualify as a startup. It has already grown into an MSME or a big company. So these are the primary reasons for us to reject startups. At the time of income tax exemption, the primary reasons are that companies incorporated after April 1, 2016. These are the only companies which are mandated, which have been which fall eligible for tax exemptions. So any company incorporated before 2016 can get recognized but cannot get tax exemption. And registered partnership forms as per the Income Tax Act is also not allowed to get tax exemptions. So we advise startups that you either have a private limited company or LLP for tax exemption purposes.
So okay, very good. Can a startup can be registered with the MSME?
They can have both.
They take the benefit?
Absolutely.
Both.
They can have Udyogadhar as well, and they can have a startup as well. That's fine.
So what are the benefits of having a Make in India or in a startup? What are the benefits there? Suppose my another startups are there and some part of outside India, 50%, so how it can build up?
So I think we are mixing two things here. Make in India is a completely separate scheme. So the reason why Startup India was housed under Invest India was Invest India is the National Investment Promotion Agency of India, which was mandated to drive the Make in India campaign as well. So if I am a startup, let's say coming from abroad, looking to set shop in India, I will loop in my sector experts, my state expert from the Invest India facilitation arm, who will help them with grounding their investments, with talking, getting their compliances easier and getting them talking to them about different state policies and all. So that's how I leverage strength within Invest India. But apart from that, every benefit that we spoke about in our presentation, which Kritika covered, applies to any startup who qualifies as per the definition.
Okay, so what are the difference between the Invest India, Startup India, and the METI Startup Hub? So what are the difference between both? Two nodal agencies are there. So just for the people, the participants more clear what same ecosystem, same working. What are the difference are there? So I request both of you to elaborate on this.
Jeet, I'll start. You can build on that. So I think beautiful question first. Let me give it to this and good that we're clarifying it for everyone. I'll start with Invest India. आप एक फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर हो या इंडियन इन्वेस्टर हो, अगर आपको एक कंपनी की इन्वेस्टमेंट इंडिया में करवानी है तो जो मेक इन इंडिया कैंपेन है वो इन्वेस्ट इंडिया देखते हैं. सो इट्स एन इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रमोशन एजेंसी. हैप्पी टू शेयर वी आल्सो गॉट द UN UNCTAD award also just today for the third time. So that is the role of Invest India. Startup India is housed under Invest India as one of the many programs for Invest India. When Startup India action plan was announced, ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने अपने एक्शन प्लान में बहुत सारी मिनिस्ट्रीज का रोल एनविजन किया था. इट्स अ क्यूमुलेटिव एफर्ट ऑफ द इकोसिस्टम. वी आर द नोडल मिनिस्ट्री, सेक्टर एग्नोस्टिक, while MITI is electronics and IT focused, so their sector is clearly defined. As many ministries come forward to support the ecosystem, it's better for the ecosystem to get more incentives to work closely with other as well. So I think we see ourselves as the policy makers, as the enablers of the ecosystem, driving and working with every ministry who wants to support this. So we are working with Agriculture Ministry, we are working with Civil Aviation Ministry, we are working with Biotechnology, all the others, to encourage them to come up with their plan for the ecosystem, support them with our base, and come up with new policies and areas of intervention. Jeet, over to you for your thoughts here.
I think it's a fantastic question and a good segue into, let me emphasize what Asta briefly mentioned. So first of all, hearty congratulations from me and from MITI and everyone in our ecosystem for winning the Best Investment Promotion Agency Award in the world by UN of all the 180, 196 countries out there. So this is a huge accomplishment. And the difference between MITI Startup Hub and what Asta and Kritika are talking about is in a business term, right? So there's a CEO's office, CMD's office. He's sitting in the top floor and he says, I want to get X, Y, and Z done. And then there are 3 verticals underneath the company, right? And they each have their division heads and CEOs, right? Now we are one of them, right? We are a division. And for us, it's about, okay, our big boss, Prime Minister Modi sir, wants this done. And he has set up this Invest India team to be the outside face of India looking in and bringing us that exposure, access, and network. And now it is up to us as each vertical under the company, how we leverage it, how we access it, and building on that, how do we take this forward? Because we are more connected to the ground, being backed by the vertical, right? So in the domain of electronics and IT, we not only do startups, we do all the policy and framework around that domain. So whatever is going to happen in the digitization of India and how do we move it to $1 trillion segment of the overall economy is something that we are looking at. So emerging technologies and a lot of other things. So it's not just the startup thing, but again, in the context of startup, we are just an extension of what Asta and the Invest India team does, and they bring us a lot more resources than we could alone do it ourselves. So.
Great. I think you answered well. So definitely, it's different verticals is needed, and more ecosystem is required, as Asta said. And time is up. A lot of questions are coming, and but I hope that all the participants are being addressed to their queries. And a lot of excellent in detail presentation has been provided by both of guys from Jeet, Mehti, and Asta and. Entire entries, answered all well of the, queries for the starter content, how to register, what to register, and, whether it's, why it is failing. So I think it's very fairly clean up now. We need to work on the system. There are a lot of competitive, ads platforms given by the Mehti. You can log in, and for the funding, you can definitely look upon the wonderful website, the startupindia.gov.in. That is the Bible for the startup, which is, spelled out by the Asta. It's each and everything about the ecosystem of everything. So you can get all the details. So we have with us our young, dynamic member of our councils, Aniket Taladiji. And I request him to sum up the things. You were not in the initial time, so you have
No, Dheeraj, it's my pleasure, and in fact, I was there when Piyush Goyalji started the address. So my compliments and congratulations, first of all, to Hansraj Chugji and yourself for taking up this session. I think all the panelists today, as well as all the participants, will join me in congratulating your vision. The way in which you have planned this Startup Manthan 2.0, my heartiest compliments, congratulations, and I think no better audience than the chartered accountant community and the fraternity, like Piyushji mentioned, who are themselves entrepreneurs, running famous startups, and then very important role that they are playing in supporting the ecosystem of startups. So Chairman Sir, Hansrajji, my heartiest compliments and congratulations to you, to Dheeraj Bhai, and my special thanks to Jeet, the CEO of Mehti. I think a wonderful presentation that you gave, and more importantly, how you outlined the idea of the Honorable Prime Minister, the role that your agency is playing, and very rightly mentioned by Astaji that if you have anything to do with electronics and IT, he is the go-to guy for you first. And then if you want to move up in the entire ecosystem, it may be any industry. As they call it, they are industry agnostic. Doesn't matter if you're dealing with medical equipment, you're dealing with IT, you're dealing with healthcare, you're dealing with any sector. Startup India is where the buck ends, the buck stops. And thank you so much, Astaji and Kritikaji from Invest India, for a wonderful presentation. A lot of participants are seeking a copy of that presentation because it was so wide in the terms of its coverage, the benefits that are available. I think even us as chartered accountants, for us, there was some learning in terms of the benefits that the government is providing. I think a very important role that all of us have to play as citizens of this country first, and then secondly, as chartered accountants, entrepreneurs, or you as enablers, is to educate all these startups. I think the biggest lacking point is some of them are not aware of the benefits that are available to them. And I'm sure that through this medium, through this session, and the beautiful plan the chairman has laid out, the vice chairman has laid out. The first is the thought, and I think they started the first session with the seed, and then the seed has to be nurtured with water, with minerals. And I think generally in the West, it is always the entrepreneurs are looking for capital. But in India, we have a unique ecosystem where you are working with the private sector, but we have such a wonderful, aggressive and active government sector in the form of Startup India and METI, who are there to aid and assist to water this plant. And we are sure that whatever all of us are today watering and nurturing will grow into a huge tree, which will generate employment, capital and equity for all of us. Once again, special thanks to all of you for being the government's face in that aspect of laying out all the benefits that are available, for giving us such a wonderful presentation. And to all my fellow participants who are chartered accountants, I think we have a huge role to play as entrepreneurs and also as enablers. Nowhere in the world are chartered accountants doing so much services. Elsewhere, your area of service is probably restricted to taxation and accounting, but we are the ones who are incorporating companies, these startups. We are getting them registered. We are consulting them on direct, indirect taxes and ensuring the entire end-to-end services. Huge role to play. And I'm sure with this initiative of this committee, our role, our chartered accountants will be amplified. And I once again thank Mr. Jeet, Asta ji and Kritika ji for the wonderful presentation and all the participants for a patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all
very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Chairman.
Request all the participants tomorrow.
Thank you.
The program going to start at 3 p.m. Last not 3 p.m. And thank you all the more than 10,000 participants doing this particular program. So excellent response. Thank you to all of you. Thank you very much.
Compliments, Dheeraj bhai. Great show.
Thank you very much, Niket ji.
Thank you, the chairman.